I grew up about 5 miles from Lakeport with my mother, father, and my 2 older sisters. They divorced when I was about 3 years old. And I was a pretty good kid and a good student, got pretty good grades. When I was probably about 14, I got involved with some pretty bad friends and got involved in drugs. I got pregnant when I was 15 and had to drop out of school. My oldest, Athena's dad and we broke up when she was about 2 years old. When I was about 19 years old, I met another guy named Gabriel, and we had a child together. But he was involved in gangs, so I basically broke up with him and told him to go back to LA. After I had my second child, I was clean for about a year and a half. And then I met Donald, which is the father to my 3 youngest children. And at the time we met, we were both clean and sober, and we were happy and had a pretty good life.
I came up here to the bowling alley one night, and we were doing the Rockwell thing, and that's where I met Tennille and asked her name because I was already playing softball with her dad before I even met her. So, and I didn't know her dad was the coach on the team, so I ended up asking her to dance one night, and so that's how we met. And then the next day we were at a gas station, and it was just like, I thought it was fate. I seen her again.
We were together probably about 6 months, and we ran into some old friends and got involved in our old habits. And from there, our life just took a turn for the worse. We had Dominic. He's now 6 years old. At the time, we were still using methamphetamine. The only times I would get clean is through my pregnancies, and then short after that, we would pick it up again. Before I got involved with that, I had a pretty good life, was really happy, had my kids with me all the time. We had a very close relationship. Even though they were very small children, we were very bonded. And through drugs and alcohol, it destroyed everything. It's like pouring acid on something, it just eats it up.
I was doing so good on the straight and narrow, and then we got involved with these people, and I felt like, oh God, here we go again. And it was just like too late. They already had a grab on me. And it just went downhill from there. It was really bad. We were doing the same old thing every day. It was just like a tape being rewound over and over again. Nothing changed, just out looking to get high and stuff like that. And it was just like the same thing over and over every day.
I just wanted to jump through their hoops to get my kids back. At that point, I wasn't really serious because I didn't really think I had a problem. I thought I could quit doing the drugs if I really wanted to. But the first time around, I just basically did what they told me to do and tried to cheat the system. Well, that wasn't working, and I guess through my behaviors they could see it. So I got pregnant with my youngest son, Leland, and they came and said that I need to go into residential treatment or they were going to take him as well. So I packed up. I had like a matter of a half hour to decide, and pack up all my stuff and go. So that's what I did. And that time around, 6 months program, that time around it really set in like, okay, I've lost everything, my kids as well. How much worse does it have to get before I take it serious?
The first time that I met her, she came into regular outpatient treatment, and she was definitely resistant. I've known Tennille for many, many years, and she was not ready. She was not ready for treatment. She was not ready to participate. She was definitely not wanting to be there. The next time that I saw Tennille, it was after she had already done some residential treatment. She came in with some extenuating circumstances that weren't quite great. But she walked in and she was completely open and willing to do whatever it took to make sure that her family was reunified. So, huge difference.
On, I think it was Memorial Day, some of the girls in the rehab decided to throw a party, and they snuck drugs and alcohol in. Well, me and one other girl, we were sleeping, and I had my children. and I woke up and they were just partying. And one of the girls were the responsible resident. She had the code to the security alarm. So the next day, it was on the weekend, and you don't have any phone numbers or anything to any of the counselors or anything except for the day treatment on the weekends, and staff ain't there on the weekends. So the next day I woke up and I took my kids to my mom's to get them out of there. And when I got back, I got in trouble for taking an unauthorized pass.
And I don't know that we'll ever have the complete story about what happened. Tennille was accused of participating in a party at this clean and sober living environment. She's adamant that that didn't occur. There was no way to prove it one way or the other. There were conflicting statements, and the program she was in felt it was necessary as a part of her recovery for her to admit to what had happened.
They basically said that I kept a secret because I didn't tell them until the next day, and I got kicked out. And CPS had to come and take my kids again because they figured, well, you just got kicked out of rehab, where are you going to stay?
Tennille helped her children through it, and she reassured her son that he was just going to go on a visit with her friend Sherry, and made it very easy for her children. And it made it very apparent to me that Tennille had changed, that she had really grown, and that she was able to just stop and think about her children and what they needed. It didn't make sense to remove her children after she had come so far, and we went to court, but in the end asked the judge to drop the petition. She had put in all of her time and had a lot of clean tests, and she agreed to start over with a new one-year program and committed to another year so that we would not remove her children from her care.
Well, we discovered here in Lake County that we were experiencing about 85 to 90% of the families in our system having drug and alcohol problems, and we weren't doing a very good job of providing services for them. So we partnered with 3 other Northern California counties, Butte, Trinity, and Tehama, and created the Northern California Meth Regional Partnership. And then in collaboration with UC Davis, Northern California Training Academy, and the California State Department of Social Services, we applied for funding, and we got a grant to really look at the systems that serve these families and see how we could better collaborate.
I've had a total of 30 years experience in criminal, civil, dependency, and juvenile cases. And I was kind of cynical because most of my career was as a prosecutor, and I had a whole different approach of these kinds of cases. And the drug scene was one that, in my opinion, needed people locked up in jail. And obviously that hasn't worked. I just thought that the DDC or collaborative approach might be a little too soft and not work very well. CPS and AODS approached me and said, we're going to have a meeting, a regional meeting of people that are doing these sorts of things, and we'd like you to come and just kind of see what it's about. And so I did, and I heard some nice things happening in other counties and statistics that show it was really working, and working better than the other methods that we've used in the past. So I kind of thought about it, and they wanted to set up a drug dependency court. And I've got a pretty busy court schedule, so I said, well, I'll carve out an hour a week. I'll give you an hour a week.
When I first came to the agency about 6 years ago, the communication between AODS and CWS were pretty much just minimal. So the difference, once this grant came into play, and once we started to collaborate and actually make communication and build some relationships between us, huge difference, because what resources they may have to utilize, we use through the DDC and the funding that comes from that. Again, whether it's them that has the resource or us that has a resource, we work together to make sure that the client gets their needs met.
It's changed the whole philosophy of how child welfare does its work. And you can actually even see this reflected in people's attitudes towards us. It used to be a case of, oh no, CPS are coming, they take our children. I don't see that as much anymore. You know, they see us going out to the homes to offer services. They meet us halfway very often, expecting us to be able to provide the services. And it's really important because our parents are not feeling the same shame and blame as they were previously. We're able to explain to them that they need support and they deserve the support.
This time around, they introduced me to drug dependency court with Judge Martin, which is every Thursday. You go before the judge and they read your test results from AODS, and if you're in a parenting class, they have a weekly report on that. And you stand before him, and when you're doing good, everyone claps. You know, and the first time I went in there, I'm like, what are they doing? They're clapping. They're in court before a judge, and he knows they all do drugs, you know. But Judge Martin, he's more like a grandpa to everyone, or a dad. You know, he really cares. When you get in trouble, you know, you get consequences, but he still encourages you to do better, and it's a wonderful program.
All right, you also both have negative drug tests, so you got 2 negatives apiece, so that's good. And then Nina, I see that you started at Yuba College and you're going to get your GED. Yeah. So good.
I graduated, and at that point, Donald and I weren't together. We weren't living together or anything else because it took him a little longer to get into services and I think get serious about it because everyone does it on their own time. So at my graduation, he told me that he saw everyone clapping for me and saw what I had, and he really wanted that for himself.
When she went up there and graduated, I had seen all these people talking good stuff about her. They were sitting there clapping for her, and I was like, this is really weird. This is kind of neat. I go, actually, this is cool. So I went and talked to Sherry right afterwards. I didn't tell Tennille what I was doing or nothing like that. And I went right to Sherry afterwards and I said, how do I get what she's got? And she goes, I don't know if I can do it for you. I said, it's kind of too late. And she goes, I'd have to talk to Tennille and see if she wants to keep the case open.
So Sherry called and told me about the conversation her and Donald had had. And I told her, well, I'm willing to do that. You know, I'll keep it open for a whole nother year. If he wants what I, was able to get, then who am I to say no? You know, I'm grateful it was there for me. And I saw that he really wanted that as well. And he wanted to be happy and come back home and live with the children, you know. So it was going to benefit them. And that's why I kept it open.
Our agency has created some new programs like the engagement group to help people understand the process they're in, and it's scary to go through the court process. And then you're angry, and there's all kinds of feelings, and so that it makes it easier on the parents because the other parents in the room have also lost their children.
Prior to the Meth Regional Partnership Grant, and we started this program, parents might show up for visits, they might show up for their referral to AOD, but we kind of lost them in there. So what the parent engagement group was to get the parent engaged in CWS. So they didn't see us as the enemy, but as somebody there that's to help to support them to become better parents, not to remove their kids and they were done. So that's really, I think, they're seeing us more as a support system, and they can vent so that we can get past that, past the denial into acceptance of responsibility.
It helps you get comfortable with all the people in there. What it is it sets you up for your next class, but it helps you get comfortable with everybody in the class so you ain't just stuck in a classroom with a bunch of people that you don't know.
The family team meeting was set up when Donald was going through his services. I had graduated already and I was done with mine, and that was a new program that they had when Don was engaged in services. And the whole point of that was to set goals that we wanted to achieve, because Don had been clean and sober for a while and he kind of felt like he wasn't really getting too far. Things were remaining the same. He wasn't getting extra time with the kids, He just didn't see where he was progressing.
We look at their strengths and we talk about the concerns and not we don't refer to them as problems. So one, the language that we use in the family team meetings, and two, having a neutral party there to bring everybody together. The outcome that I see is when families leave these meetings, they feel empowered and they are part of the process of creating their own plan, and they identify their needs for their family versus a social worker saying, these are your problems and this is how we're going to fix them and this is your case plan.
I learned a lot from the programs that were offered to me. The biggest thing is getting on a one-on-one level with your kids. I get down into their age level. I mean, I act just like a kid with my kids now, and before I didn't.
When we came back for that second follow-up meeting, he was very empowered to come and tell us, I did all these things and this is what I've been working on. And we were able to say, congratulations, you've met these steps, you've met these milestones, and now your social worker can make the recommendation to the court.
I was really happy to see that it's much more successful than the traditional ways that we used to use. And I'm seeing in my court at least, which this is a small community and we've limited the court to 10 families at a time, but I'm seeing some really nice successes and a high percentage of them, much more than locking people up or just taking away their kids and finding a foster home or something like that. And I'm seeing family units walk out of here that I run into in the community on a daily basis that are doing well.
When I first found out that my sister was the one that called CPS on me, I hated her. You know, I didn't want my children around her. I didn't want to be around her. I just had this really big ball of resentment and anger and hate inside me towards her. And I couldn't understand why she would do that, you know, to me, especially me being her sister. But over the years and going through the program, I really see that she did have my best interests at heart. You know, she basically helped save my life.
Tennille specifically, she was one of our successes. So, I mean, the outcome was great. She's still here. She's still in communication with us. She's already graduated the program quite a while ago and still stays in contact with us. So that's success in my eyes.
The last time when I went to the home, Tennille was at work and Dawn was there with the children actually, and the house was peaceful. It was, you know, calm. It was wintertime and it was kind of warm and the Christmas tree's up, you know, and the kids are taking their naps and Leland's having his snack at the table, and Dawn said it was the first time he had had all of them for the whole day, so he was doing a good job, and their family just works now.
What's up?
Hey guys. Well, you're talking to a man? I sure was. Whoa, that's a big camera.
Yeah, it sure is.
It's kind of hard to pinpoint one thing that I really like about being a parent nowadays, because I think it's everything. Waking up to them, the relationship and bond that I have with all 5 of my children, we're extremely close. We're like, you know, 6 people in one, 7 people in one. There's trust again. Just hearing my baby say, you know, I love you, Mom, or my older girl saying, I'm proud of you for what you've done, that's the best reward.